Let's talk about brushes. Specifically, let's talk about organizing our brushes. Procreate obviously has a lot of brushes. When I tap on it, you can see that. And you've probably noticed as I've been using it that I have sets like this fourth one down here called Brad's brushes. Now, these are brushes I've either created or I've pulled off the internet. For example, you can use gradients in Procreate. I have a radial gradient brush right here, and now that that's set, I can come out here and I can draw on there, and there we go. I've just created a gradient, which I can then, move around and do whatever I want with. And I would definitely check out the Procreate forums or search Google for Procreate brushes because there are a ton of brushes that you can import in to your brush sets. So now our brushes work the same way as a lot of things in Procreate, like our layers. For example, if you swipe to the right on a brush, like you would on a layer, you can share it, you can duplicate it, or you can delete it. Duplicating is great because say you want to recreate the same brush, but you actually want to tap on it again and bring up all of its different settings and then just fiddle with it and have a slightly different brush, you can absolutely do that. But if you don't want it anymore, you can swipe on it again and you can totally delete that brush. Of course, it's going to warn you first, but that's fine. I want to go ahead and delete it because it was a duplication. But it works very similarly to layers. Now, what about organizing our brushes? For example, I have these wet pencils and gouache brushes, but I have this solid one down here. If I tap and hold on that, I can reorder it just like I can reorder a layer, and this is a great way to come in here and just reorder all of your brushes to make it easier to find. For example, if I get to the point where I think, you know what, these gradient brushes should have their own set, I can totally do that. Let's make our own set. I come over to this left-hand side, and if I pull down a little bit and I let go, let me pull down a little bit. Let's see how this works. There we go. Now this little button here at the very top says New Set. I can tap on that. It brings up my keyboard, and I can just name this Gradients. I forgot the T. There we go. Gradients. So now I have a set just for my gradient brushes. Easy peasy. So now what I have to do is go to my other set, Brad's brushes, and if I tap and hold on one of these gradients, I can move it over to my new set, and I let go. Move my next one over to that new set, let go. Whoops, it moved it to sketching. So let's try this again. It's a little small. So there we go. In our gradients, we have all that. So let me go back here, and let's get these last couple in that gradient setting there. Whoops. Let's try this again. Gradients. And you'll notice it kind of flashes when you're over it. It's a little hard to see on the screen, but when you're using Procreate, you'll see like the word gradient flash. So now when I go to gradients, there we go. I have all my gradients located in one brush folder. And you can reorder your brush sets the same way you reorder all your brushes. If I tap and hold on gradients, I can move it way down to the bottom where I don't necessarily need it anymore, or I don't need it that often. Or I can move it up to the top if I use it a lot. For example, I use my Brad brushes quite a bit. That's why I call them Brad brushes. So I've moved them up to the top so they're easier to find. So those are the basics. That is how brushes work. And in the next section, we're going to be making a brush from scratch and walking through some of the details and settings that you're going to find in your brushes.